So, Lokako, my name is Landon. Um, Thank you for joining us today on this presentation on youth voice. I'll just give you a little bit about me. So, my name is Landon. I currently work with Liliʻuokalani Trust as the manager of youth leadership. It's a new department that we created here within the trust to uplift youth voices across the Paʻaina, where we're able to bring them on as consultants, where we hire them on from the ages of 16 to 26. I'm also part of, on Hawaii Island, the vice president of a wedding events company called Oewe, with a nonprofit to give scholarships to Hawaii Island residents and kamaliʻi, scholarships in the creative arts for those who are looking to return um, to pursue, how do you say, their higher education or trades program if they had to take a break due to putting that aside due to family matters. I'm also a consultant to The View, which is a restaurant in Kona, where we look to hire young people as leaders. And also part of the Layout Legacy as a director of outreach, where we do community events for back to school and Christmas gifts for the drug court kids whose parents are part of the program. Also for Hawaiian Idol, it's a karaoke competition where we send our winners up to Vegas. And it just brings the community together for the year. And then currently I am a doctoral student getting my doctorate in social work. So that's just a little bit about me and what I do for our community on Hawaii Island. So we're here today to talk about youth voice. And what that is for me is like it's about empowering our future generations, where we feel that maybe when we were younger, that we had some ideas that we wanted to contribute, but then at that time I was like, oh, those are great, put aside. When you get older, you can do find solutions to those challenges. But with what Youth Voice here is about uplifting the youth where they're at now, as organizations and agencies, and how to change that. How do we build them up where they're at now? And so, all of those things that I've shared on that I'm part of on Hawaii Island will be incorporated into this presentation and how Youth Voice is instilled into those businesses and programs. So first, a question that always comes to my mind is where's the data? But like, is there any really literature about youth voice out there? And a lot of it is about youth-led or youth-driven that talk about how, for example, young people are too often excluded from the decision-making process, even on the issues that most concern them. As Jason Warren noted a decade ago when he was a member of the New York City Youth Force, every day in local arenas, all the way to the White House, adults sit around and decide what problems youth have and what youth need without ever consulting us. So we're really looking at, are adults really making the right decisions? And from this research, it's sharing that youth are never at the table, even though that there are maybe projects that they're part of, it's still adult-led compared to youth-led. And so at this time, this is where I want to just throw out questions to our audience. You can put in the chat, like, how do you define youth voice? So youth having the ability to contribute. I know some other colleagues have said that youth voice for them is hearing what problems they are. We have meaningful participation, what our youth have to say, which we can amplify and center to make sure they are heard, their opinions, values, and beliefs. Yep. And so here is where I surveyed some youth, and these are their actual definitions of what youth voice is. Youth voice is a community of young individuals who are willing to step up and take on challenges, a part of society. Youth voice is an opportunity for young people to take their advantages and use it to better the world around them. are able to voice concerns and intentions for the future. With their perspective, new ways of problem solving can be elaborated and done. The opinion and voice of youth around the Pa'aina that can be voiced to the outside world. Youth voice is those in the younger generation advocating for what will affect them and future generations in either the present or the future. Youth voice embodies change, advocacy, and connection. It is a powerful expression of young people. So for us to understand how youth, or where are they coming from and where they're thinking, what I've seen throughout today's presentations is also like that connection that we have to call out, which is that historical trauma our youth face. With the colonization, with the intergenerational trauma that our youth have within families. But also a main one to the left is when they're surveyed. This was a huge one that I took away from that they said that when they're assigned or they're asked, when we're given surveys or what is our opinions, what happens afterwards is the trauma that they have is having to answer all of these surveys that classes may give them or organizations may ask or people just may ask, and they give their opinions but nothing ever comes back to them, to whether they feel like they're just always being taken advantage of. And so for them, they were like, we want to be part of that process. And so when I had shared that, where with a collaboration with Teach for America, one of our youth spoke up and said, we will not answer your questions because we want to be the solution. And what our partner did is she came back and said, can you be on a board to help advise us of how we make those changes if you were to answer their surveys? And so with that, the students were able to then participate and collaborate together. So that's the collaboration piece that comes together with that process. So one tool that I've utilized is youth participatory action research, also known as YPAR. So YPAR is an innovative approach to positive youth and community development in which young people are trained to conduct systematic research to improve their lives, their communities, institutions to serve them. So here in Hawaii, there is a YPAR Hawaii, hui that come together to put on different projects. Here you can see the different organizations that are part of the hui, to where they're able to teach their youth in what are the challenges they see in their community, and then what are those solutions. And so those organizations work together with the youth, with their councils, to put these project-led solutions together. And one of those ways to find out what those challenges are is through Photovoice. And so with what Photovoice does, it captures the perspective from the youth, from an image that you would just look at. But then when you really look into the summary that they write up is where the true data comes from. So from here, we can put in the chat, what do you see? What do you see in this photo? So when you look at this photo, what first do you see that comes to mind? Beauty, life, light seeping through, flower, yellow woman. Okay, so now what Photovoice does, it takes what the kamaliʻi's perspective is on telling their story through this photo. So we saw a lot of good things being shared about this photo, but here's the meaning behind it. The yellow hibiscus held up to the sky symbolizes the future of the graduating seniors of Ka'u High School. However, if you take a closer look, the yellow hibiscus has been crushed. It has holes in its petals. Just like this hibiscus, the dreams of our students are crushed due to the lack of resources available to them. Many have to have the potential to be great, but our current environment doesn't allow them to be great. Due to it being crushed, the hibiscus will wither away, just like the potential our KU students have. So with that data that we took, we, for Liliʻuokalani Trust, we said, how can we support our students now, to where we provided a bridge between high school to higher education in a dual, how you say, dual credit in a sense, or college opportunity, to go to Hilo, where we created a summer program for them to attend 5 weeks. We brought in resources for them from hearing this, so that way the KU students would be able to thrive and not feel as if their dreams are crushed. A big thing too that they said within KU, it's a very small community to where a lot of organizations just come and go. They set up for maybe a semester or two, and then their program is gone and never come back. So that trust is gone as well. And so that also goes with that crushed feeling. But having consistent organizations in rural communities makes a huge impact on youth. Another picture I have here, what are your first takes when you see this photo here? Warmth, darkness, fire, wood flame, some camping. And so for this one, this photo here talks about mental health. So in this photo, I see a person looking up from his phone in a dark place. But what is really happening is a person who is affected by the use of social media and is surrounded by darkness of depression and anxiety. When we looked into hearing this summary, our programs within Liliʻuokalani Trust to support this youth really targeted now trauma, trauma informed, provided mental health support around youth that were going through this. And a big thing that came up was cyberbullying, especially like in the comments of Instagram, TikTok, of what they post and what they share about one another. And so even, how do you say, what this youth was going through too was not being able to communicate in that physical component, but taking it all in and internally and then isolating himself from the group. And so this is where programs were able to come together to support this child and then provide things in the community. So if your organization too has the opportunity that has physical spaces or projects, one way is to build out spaces with youth. So with that, in Kona, we had this warehouse. As you can see, there's these buildings, which was different, like vendors, but over time became like a ghost town. But what we did is we cleared out the space for it to be a youth center. So our executive team came in and they showed this dream, like, this is what your center can be. But our youth looked at this photo and was like, we don't want this in our community because this does not fit us. This looks more like urban city in Honolulu, to where you bring this to our community, we don't feel like we're worth to go to these places. So really looking at physical spaces from a youth lens is where we step back and said, from this space, you see, how would we aid it? And so for this project, youth were able to build out this space with our team, and then also with community partners that came in to just share. So that way it's a space of safety, a space of learning, to where community can come in, to where this is the space it was created to be. So It's movable. We can set up for conferences. We have like a stage to where we also have like a basketball court in the back. We can clear it all out to then make it a huge dance studio. We've hosted conferences here, youth conferences that gathered about 200 youth around the island. But they have now ownership of these spaces, and our community, to where those kids that don't go to school, or a houseless youth, they come by to do their homework here. They're able to do their laundry. They're able to get a meal. That's created such safe spaces in the Kona area here. Youth also think of ways of how they would create, and so they've graffitied this table in the top left, and our partnership with Kealakea High School carpentry class designed the table design. So the board became a bench in the space. This little hut on the left is a little recording booth that the students had drew out, and then our carpentry class came in and built. So that screen is loading. We really wanted to make this space community driven, youth driven, with the support of LT. So that way, these spaces is not just for the use of Liliʻuokalani Trust, but it's a space that community can come through, and the youth can also like show off their work. We've noticed is on weekends, youth will come and bring their families to just show them like, hey, look what I was able to contribute to this space. And then it also stems to the questions of, oh, what services do you provide at Liliʻuokalani Trust, which leads to us connecting them with our social services department, or even we provide camping for our Native Hawaiian children, so they are able to participate in our camping program. I apologize. We have our drop-in center today, and so all the kids are on our Wi-Fi. But with those spaces too, we had these electrical posts, and we were just like, what would you design from here? And so they designed these stand-up tables, to where also some of these woods were donated by organizations within the community. And then one big thing is passion. Here in Hawaii, the passion of hula, of dance, is really important. So for those of our youth who are in the entertainment business, how do you put it? You're taught how to perform it, but because of your kumu or your instructor, you just kind of roll with whatever choreography it is, where their influences of wanting to create is usually not allowed until they get to that kumu status. But here at Oahe Entertainment, we kind of flip the script to say, hey, what would it look like if you guys were to create a show on your own? And so we allowed our young adults, who were between the ages of 19 to 27, to come together to put together a storyline, to where they even created their own instrumental beats to it, to where they were able to create a full fire show that the Four Seasons of Hualalai picked up in October of last year. And this show ran all the way up to July of this year. And so the creativity and seeing the passions of our young people to tell the story of culture through a new lens with a mix of modern day to cultural music was comprised together. And so really seeing how it was uplifting their voices, and to where they even created the costumes, choreography, the backdrops, what fire elements they wanted, what story they wanted to feel, what they wanted to do when you sat there, so people could have the full experience from sound, from visual to feeling, and emotion that went along with this journey. And one thing that the Four Seasons had said was, we've never seen a show like this that companies had put their employees first into giving them this opportunity to create, because what happened with that, it sparked new ideas and innovative ideas within Four Seasons itself. As corporate as it is, they were able to now innovate and push for cultural, to bring cultural back into a corporate business. And so it really uplifted us in knowing that with us putting youth voice ahead at the forefront and us supporting it, we are now able to educate other businesses in West Hawaii of what is going on. And then here at the Trust, we were able to then create a youth council, because here in Honolulu, we're currently building we're remodeling the old Honolulu Club to build a youth center. And so with that, we decided that if we're going to build this, we're going to need advisors and youth councils. And so with that, we were able to hire young adults to be advisors to us in the design and program implementations that will come out of it. And so I have actually one of our council members here, Keala, who's going to share the next couple of slides with you.
Aloha. So today I'll be talking to you about a little bit about this new council that was created just this past June, July. So originally we were called the Youth Advisory Council, and as you may know about Liliʻuokalani Trust, they really appreciate and love their acronyms. So before we were known as YAC, and we felt that it's like the name felt very formal and kind of like not us, so we kind of wanted to recreate that name. And so now we have, as you can see on the slide, Liliʻuokalani, which the main idea of this is just that we wanted to really represent our queen, of course, like, you know, a tribute, as we are all beneficiaries of her, and then also that we wanted to help bring light to our own voices, like as youth advocates. And so the voices of Kamakaʻeha is what we kind of settled on, and now we're known as NLOC. So that was really a nice change. And then for us, we also, as you can see on these flyers, on the left, it was originally a bit more, it was worded differently versus how it is now. We kind of simplified it a bit more. So when you do read these flyers, it's a bit more friendly to them and easier to understand, and then kind of speaks more towards our closer to the age groups that we'll be hiring, which is about ages 16 to 26. So that's just a little bit about Liliʻuokalani, our name. And if we want to make our way to the next part of this, our vision that we came up with, it took a bit of workshopping, but we really wanted to incorporate both like us as Kanaka Maoli and then or Kanaka Iwi into this, along with, again, that forward thinking. So we have our vision as a thriving Hawaii uplifted by Native Hawaiian youth voices inspiring future generations. And then our mission, we really wanted to incorporate, of course, our kupuna and those who have come before us. So ika wā mua, ika wā hope. So just kind of looking back onto other people as guides, but then also kind of having this agency now as a council to kind of decide like, hey, these are some things that we kind of want to see in this upcoming youth center that LT is creating. So yeah, as you can see, we have our quite the age range from 18 to 22 as of right now. I think we're gonna, with the next upcoming cohort, we're gonna go a bit lower, so ages 16, hopefully, get some high schoolers in to get more of that perspective. And you can kind of read of like a bit of our backgrounds, just really short on this slide as well. And that's basically about it, about, you know, how we kind of came up with this name and a little bit about us. Thank you for listening.
And so with that council too, like Keala had said, that they worked on the vision, they worked on the mission, they really researched the name Naleʻo. They really wanted to make sure that it fit the group and the work that they would be doing, to where now the work that they're doing is advising our communications team and how the web page should look, especially the big thing that they said is it's outdated. It looks like adults will be coming to this and not youth. Social media was another big thing where they're like, we don't even use the IG platforms or Facebook. It's TikTok, and pending on which Native Hawaiians you want to reach, Snapchat. So hearing all of that informs our team and how to reach these young people. Another huge thing that they shared about too is our evaluation team had reached out because we do surveys, and the youth were like, this verbiage does not make sense. We need an evaluation that is youth friendly and something that also youth who may be in fifth grade elementary would understand, compared to the verbiage that only researchers would understand with that. And so with that, there's a lot of youth influence going on with this council, to where even to the design of interior of that couch doesn't match us because that looks fancy and it doesn't look comfortable. So why not get this other one that's from Costco because it's comfortable and it feels homey. And that's a big thing that's been a takeaway with our council, is making sure that these spaces are geared towards youth and compared to of what adults have seen, thinking that youth would like. It's completely opposite. And so with this council, it's really bringing like the executive teams here coming down and the youth now coming up to meet each other halfway, to sit at the table in this design with all of that. Up next, I'm going to introduce Moelani. She's a teammate of mine out in Maui, because I know this conference is hosted out of Maui. So what better way for us to share about the programs from there?
All right. Aloha mai kako. Mahalo, Landon, for allowing me to share this space with you. My name is Moelani Foster, and I am a youth development specialist here at Liliʻuokalani Trust Maui. Today, I will be introducing our staff and giving you a bit more insight on what we do, the youth programs that we offer, and how we incorporate youth voice into the programs that we build. So right here is our Maui Youth Development Team. From right to left, we have our Youth Development Lead, Erica Dolada, and under her lead is our Youth Development Specialist, myself, Moelani Foster, Christina Moyers, and Cheyenne Castillo. Now that I've introduced our amazing team, I will now be sharing a bit more about what we offer at our Wailuku and Pukalani location. So for Wailuku, our Colonel Peters building sits in the heart of Wailuku and was recently remodeled in 2019. When redesigning this space, we took the voices of our kamaliʻi and created a safe space for them to express themselves through art, dance, and music. Here are some pictures from our Queen's Mele summer program, where 20 of our kamaliʻi participated in learning how to play the ukulele, singing in our recording studio, dance tula in our dance studio, and created a 3D image of native birds in our maker space. At the end of this program, they invited their ohana to take a tour through their art gallery and performed to our Queen's Mele, Ahelau Makani. There was not a dry eye in the room, and I think we can all say that we were extremely proud to see what they created while honoring our queen. So what's next? Next slide. We are currently accepting applications for our Ka'upena Fall Program, which will run from October 17th to December 7th. It'll be on Tuesdays and Thursdays after school from 2:30 to 4:30. During this program, we will be partnering with Mamo and Dale Nita, who will lead our ensemble class, and Noble Richardson, who will lead our art class. In this 7-week program, we will learn about our queen through mele and art. So if you know anyone that would be interested in applying, we are currently accepting applications and we'll share our contact information at the end. Next slide. Okay, now we will take you up to the slopes of Haleakala, where our newly renovated space in Pukalani was designed for our upcountry kamaliʻi to also experience spaces that are similar to our Wailuku building. LT Pukalani has a maker space for our kids to get creative, room to dance, and an outdoor space to take time to malama aina. We reopened the doors in May 2023 and launched our first 3-day program with Liliʻu Summer Bash, where kamaliʻi participated in learning our foundational oli, sewing, arts and crafts, and much more. From this program, we then gathered what was shared from our end of program survey and began planning for fall. Next slide. With our kamaliʻi's voice in mind, we will be launching Liliʻu's Hale this fall, which will run from October 16th to December 6th on Mondays and Wednesdays after school from 2:30 to 4:30. Kamaliʻi will learn basic cooking skills in Uncle Brado's culinary class, learn how to malama aina and create lei with aloha missions, and have some holiday fun with friends and fair. This is an opportunity for our kamaliʻi from the upcountry area to experience different activities and share their voice for what future programs in Pukalani will look like. And next slide. All right, and so this is some pictures from our statewide programs. Our Maui Kamaliʻi have also had the wonderful opportunity to join us for a few of our statewide programs, including visits to Iolani Palace and Ai'eabo, marching in the Merry Monarch Parade in Hilo, attending our spring break camp in Kona, and created a film that was based on our queen, and learned about coding at our CGI camp on Oahu. One of our most recent trips was to the Bay Area in California. Not only did our Hawaii Opio showcase their video game that they created based on the story of Night Marchers, but they also walked through the Palace Hotel where King Kalakaua and Queen Liliʻuokalani often stayed while visiting San Francisco. And next slide. But before I head out and pass it back to Landon, here is our contact information for our Maui YD team. So if any of you or anyone you know has keiki in grades 6 to 12 who is interested in applying, or if you'd like to find ways that we could potentially partner in future, please screenshot or write down this information. We are always looking for better ways to serve our Queens Kamaliʻi. Again, mahalo for allowing me to share, and Landon, back to you.
Mahalo moi. So that is everything that is Youth Voice here. I'll leave this slide up for a bit if anyone needs to screenshot it. Yeah, that's everything. The work that we've been going on, educating other businesses, on Youth Voice, in creating councils, and just seeing them thrive in the work, as they are the experts of what's going on, compared to adults trying to figure out what's going on and then bring those solutions, because what worked then, it won't work now. And really the biggest takeaway from the work that we've been doing with youth is that they know the solutions, and all they ask is that they be heard rather than pushed aside. So the encouragement always is, if the organization is able to support youth through such projects, or create in spaces, allowing them to create spaces, or to just even redecorate a restaurant or a physical building. That was one thing that in Kona that one of the youth did, is a restaurant shut down for a week, and the youth were able to come in and interior design the whole thing with new paint, new decor, and it's still up to this day. But yeah, that's it for my presentation. If there's any questions, comments, and again, apologies for the Wi-Fi here. I'm in a drop-in center where our youth are using it as well.